Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into the digital battlefield of software vulnerabilities. We're going to break down 6 major application attacks that you absolutely need to know about. It's a wildly fascinating, sometimes complex world, but honestly, understanding the precise mechanics of these threats, getting beyond just those high-level concepts, is literally step 1 in securing your architecture. Let's get into it.
Here is our roadmap for the day. 1. The application attack landscape. 2. Input and memory exploits. 3. Faking identities and forgery. 4. Bypassing system rules. And 5. Securing the digital fortress.
Section 1. The application attack landscape.
So, to kick things off, we really need to lay down the foundational difference between your everyday malicious software and highly targeted application attacks. Look, traditional malicious code, stuff like viruses or worms, they basically rely on infecting entire networks at scale, right? Application attacks, though, they are highly targeted. Instead of a noisy smash and grab, these attackers meticulously probe your software's architecture. They're looking for that one specific, exploitable vulnerability, like a single broken window, just so they can slip inside totally unnoticed.
Which naturally brings us to a pretty crucial question. If they aren't using a traditional noisy virus, how exactly are these attackers exploiting our software's memory and inputs to gain access?
Section 2. Input and memory exploits.
Well, that leads us right to the first intruders in our rogues gallery. These specific attacks specialize in breaking applications by forcing them to process things they absolutely shouldn't. First up, the injection attack. This happens when malicious data is deliberately inserted into a query or command, which the application then, unfortunately, mistakenly executes. Picture an attacker slipping a malicious SQL command, like in an SQI attack, right into a standard login request. It effectively tricks your database into handing over sensitive data simply because the system can't tell the difference between the legitimate request and the malicious payload hiding inside it.
Okay, so how do we lock the front door against injection? Security professionals rely on a multi-layered combination of defenses here. First, prepared statements. These ensure that the database treats user input strictly as data, absolutely not as executable code. Then, you've got proper input validation, which meticulously checks every single thing coming in. And finally, web application firewalls, or WAFs. Think of a WAF as a really vigilant bouncer. It filters out malicious traffic before it ever even reaches the application layer.
Next up on the list is the buffer overflow. Now, this one maliciously overwhelms an application's memory container by writing way more data to a buffer than it was actually designed to handle. Think of it like trying to pour a whole gallon of water into a standard coffee cup. The excess is just going to spill over everywhere. In a software environment, overflowing the stack or the heap causes the entire system to crash. Or, even worse, it incredibly allows the attacker to run their own arbitrary code right there in the overflow space.
The dynamic tension here is just intense. On one side, attackers are constantly trying to flood that memory space to force that arbitrary code execution. But defenders can stop them right in their tracks. How? By utilizing safe memory programming languages, implementing real-time runtime protections, and conducting rigorous code reviews to ensure those memory containers are strictly enforced.
Obviously, securing your code in memory is vital, but how do we handle an intruder who takes a totally different route? What if they decide to just con the system's guards by outright stealing an identity?
Section 3. Faking identities and forgery. Here's where we encounter the replay attack, a threat that focuses entirely on manipulating trust and hijacking legitimate users. This involves the unauthorized capture and retransmission of valid authentication data. Basically, think of a replay attack like someone secretly recording a VIP's voice to bypass a voice-activated lock. Technically speaking, they're capturing a valid session ID or a Kerberos ticket in transit, and then they just simply replay it later to walk right in. The sequence here is incredibly simple, but man, is it devastating. Step 1, the attacker intercepts the token. Step 2, they just bide their time. Step 3, they retransmit that exact same token to slip right past the system checks. Why does it work? Because to the system, that token still looks mathematically perfectly valid.
So, to effectively mitigate these replay attacks, you have to render that stolen token entirely useless way before the attacker gets a chance to replay it. You pull this off by enforcing strict time restrictions so tokens expire really quickly, encrypting data to protect it while it's in transit, and requiring single-use passwords. I mean, if a token is only good for one use, recording it does the attacker absolutely no good whatsoever. Moving on, we have forgery, specifically things like cross-site request forgery, or CSRF. The attacker in this scenario is the ultimate trickster. They essentially exploit the trust an application has in a user. They force a logged-in user's browser to quietly execute unwanted actions. We're talking transferring funds or changing an email address, completely without the user's knowledge or consent. It is invisible trickery at its absolute finest.
So how do defenders fight this trickery? Well, they issue specific, unique anti-forgery tokens that absolutely must accompany any legitimate requests. They enforce strict authentication controls and apply same-origin policies, often utilizing things like same-site cookie attributes. This guarantees that requests are actually originating from the intended website and not some malicious third party pulling the strings from the shadows.
Section 4. Bypassing system rules.
Now, what happens when an attacker is already interacting with your system, maybe with a low-level account, but they decide to completely break the internal rules? That brings us to privilege escalation. This can be vertical, like a standard employee exploiting a software flaw to instantly grant themselves CEO-level admin access. Or it can be horizontal, where they suddenly access another normal user's private data that should have been totally cordoned off.
To stop these internal shapeshifters from elevating their access, organizations absolutely must adhere to the principle of least privilege. This just means users only get the exact permissions they need to do their job and nothing more. Full stop. On top of that, continuously patching systems to remove vulnerabilities and aggressively monitoring user activities for any strange behavior, those are critical components of your defense.
All right, our final rogue in the gallery is directory traversal, which is sometimes called path traversal. This vulnerability allows an attacker to manipulate file paths to access files and directories stored completely outside the application's intended folder structure. It's very often executed using a // manipulation to jump up directory levels. It's honestly a lot like a customer sneaking through a staff-only door just to rifle through the manager's private filing cabinet.
Attackers use this specific exploit for the unauthorized viewing, deletion, or even modification of highly sensitive external files. So, to counter this effectively, strict access controls, rigorous input validation so users simply can't type in malicious file paths, and secure file handling methods, these aren't just nice-to-haves. They become absolute necessities.
Section 5. Securing the digital fortress. Let's bring all of these concepts together now. As we've seen from studying this whole rogues gallery of threats, security is not about relying on just one silver bullet. It just isn't. It demands a comprehensive, layered defense strategy, otherwise known as defense in depth. You literally must maintain constant vigilance across all potential attack vectors, simultaneously addressing how you handle inputs, how you verify identities, and how you enforce strict system boundaries.
So, armed with this direct knowledge of exactly how applications are attacked in the wild, I want to leave you with one final, critical thought. With these 6 specific threats, injection, buffer overflows, replays, privilege escalation, forgery, and directory traversal, constantly probing your defenses out there, is your organization's software truly a locked fortress, or is there a broken window you just haven't found yet? Keep learning, stay vigilant, and keep your systems secure.